FNCS is only a few days away. We just had the final Divisional Cup opens before it kicks off. The finals is looking super stacked. All the best teams have made it, including MrSavage and Velo. I'll go over all the duos that qualified, who missed out, and I'll give you my predictions and analysis for finals. Let's get straight into it. So let's start by going over all the teams that qualified for Thursday's finals. If we take a look at the top 10 from opens, we can see that Dandapuzo and Werex are the team at the top. Now these are two players that individually I've been fans of for quite a while now. Dandapuzo is a very capable Russian player, and Werex is almost the forgotten man from his trio last year. We've seen that Akira and Karama have gone on to play with each other and have a lot of success, whilst Werex has been left to make his own path. It's a similar situation with Pix, someone who is a really good player, but because of the switch from trios to duos, hasn't quite been able to build on the momentum from last year. Of course, Dharm and Dimash have looked really good together, and Pix has looked decent this week. More on that in a minute. Listen, Werex is doing well with Dandapuzo. Previously with Nosif, he also looked great. They were winning games in the Eval Cups, looking like a fairly promising duo. Previously, a lot of French players have been criticised for only playing with their compatriots. We've seen a lot of Francophone duos. It's nice to see them playing in a less insular way, expanding their horizons, expanding their options. We've seen that work previously with Acer and Podosai. Pink and Sato are another example. I've got a lot of time for these hybrid teams, and Dandapuzo and Werex are looking very promising. Now if we look down the leaderboard, you'll see that the next three teams are not shocks at all. We've got Sky and Scroll, Swizzy and Pixie, and Shark and Teeny. And listen, the big teams are locked in, with FNCS starting in a matter of days. All the best teams are looking primed up, and no shocks here. I mean, Shark finished top for elimination, second for damage. He was dominant throughout this opens. We also had Scroll finish second for eliminations. The big teams are showing up when it matters. In fifth place, we have the completely new duo of Kiro and Uppal. Now previously Kiro was with Pix whilst Uppal was with Dew, and they have both now split. It seems they have been able to land themselves in a favourable situation just days out from FNCS. It's always a risk when you're switching duos this late on, but Kiro and Uppal proving that it was worth the gamble. Let's see how they get on in finals. In sixth place, we had the Swedish duo of Effexi and Della. They also qualified last week, a team that have been looking pretty solid lately, so fair play to them. In seventh place, we of course had MrSavage and Velo. And listen, this is the best I've felt about Savage since Globals. This duo is looking really good. I will keep reiterating it in every single video. Velo is the perfect option for Savage. In terms of the fact that he is such a loyal support player, he is so capable, he just allows Savage to execute his game plan, to realise his ideas in the best way possible. And previously we haven't necessarily seen that. Previously Savage has been kind of in a power struggle between his teammates, I want to say, like playing with Yapko, playing with Tayson. It was always going to be a case of he couldn't completely instill his ideas because the other player was so proactive, so good at leading. And with Velo, I mean, I'm not saying he hasn't got those things, but he is just someone that can listen, can follow, and doesn't have any issue with that, which is a very good trait. And of course, this means they maintain their perfect record of qualifying for Divisional Cup finals. They have now made 4 out of 4, which is super impressive. They struggled with the zones last week. Obviously, they land right in the southeast of the map at that desert split. And with all the zones pulling near Tip-Top Terrace, it was not a good recipe for them. Let's see if they can have a little bit more luck on Thursday. Rounding out the top 10, we had King, Cringe, and Twy in 8th place. We had Syaz and Scary Sean in 9th. These guys were actually first after day 1. They had a very impressive performance then. And in 10th place, we had Focus and Thomas HD. No surprises there. Now, as I said earlier, the big teams are locked in right now, and you can see that from the standard of this lobby. I mean, take a look at all the teams that have made it. It's going to be a super stacked finals, and I'll do my predictions in just a moment. I want to talk about a couple of other teams that did qualify, one of them being MrSavage and Pix. Now, it's really interesting with these guys because they have both had such a turbulent few months for different reasons, yet they seem to have come together at the final hour and performed really well. So with MrSavage, he's not been locked in, I think that's fair to say, and he's not been placing well at all. Last season he only made 1 out of the 6 Divisional Cup finals and was only able to get a 37th place finish, whilst Pix has just been bouncing between duos, not able to have any consistency. His list of teammates from the last few months has been extensive to say the least, but it looks like these guys have settled with each other. They won their first ever tournament. This was the Havoc Cup the other day, so credit to them, and they've built on that well in these opens by managing to qualify. And listen, the more I think about this team, the more I am genuinely a fan of it. You've got Pix, who is someone who is a very capable leader, but also possesses a lot of other good traits. And MrSavage, who is just a good fragger, who is literally the global champion. I mean, on paper, this looks like a great team. And do I worry that their lack of performances, their lack of form could stop them a little bit? I do think it's a consideration, but a team of this quality should be getting top 20 in Grands and should be making the Summit LAN. Let's see how I get on in the Div Cup first though. Now, of course, these finals are looking very stacked, but we did still have some big teams miss out, perhaps the biggest example being Queasy and Haris. And Queasy just hasn't been having a good time of it lately. Obviously, he did struggle a bit in Season 1 playing with MrSavage and only making 1 out of 6 Div Cup finals. And I did say a couple of times that I felt like he needed to have an immediately good start to Season 2 in order to put himself in a good position for FNCS, and that just hasn't happened at all. He struggled with MrSavage in week 1, it's not gone to plan with Haris now, and don't get me wrong, that's a duo that I think could be really good. Haris is a great player, great fragger. It's a nice little Balkan team, and I could see them doing well in the future, but I wanted to see a performance out of them. I wanted something to latch onto to say that Queasy is looking good right now, and he just hasn't been able to give us anything over the past few months. So come FNCS, it's going to be very difficult to put him in the conversations with the best players because he simply hasn't shown much. But as we all know, in a grand final setting, when the lobby is the toughest, that is when Queasy is most at home. If he can make it to Grands, I'm sure he'll be able to have a performance. I do still think top 20 for the Summit LAN is very achievable, but I have to say the form has been a bit concerning. Now, we did have another big duo not qualify and officially split. That is Reason and Prax. They will no longer be playing together. Reason came out and stated that he regrets splitting with Savage, that he doesn't want to IGL anymore. He will now be playing with Noah. So that is a pretty exciting team. I mean, in 2021, that would have been the most advanced fighting duo you could have had. And it's crazy that that's still a thing in 2026. But yeah, we'll have to see how they get on. I do think it makes a lot of sense for Reason, with obviously only a couple of days till FNCS, to play with someone that he does know. You don't want too many unknown quantities. I think it's better to have a safe option for now. We'll see how they get on. Mongrel and Turtle also failed to qualify. They weren't a million miles off. I know there was the usual controversy over at Wonky Land. Of course, with so many teams landing there, with Shark and Teeny usually qualifying early, there's always going to be allegations of teams dropping on Mongrel to try and stop him from making the finals. But listen, they weren't far off, and I do still feel like they're in a good spot for FNCS. That doesn't mean that Wonky Land is uncon though. Stay tuned as I go over the spawn fight there. We had Seti and Rax not make it, and I am a little bit concerned about these guys. For ages I was saying that the best thing Seti could do would be to pick up Rax again, to swallow his ego and just lock in and grind with him, and he did it. And it's not really worked out. They didn't finish inside the top 100 in either of the Divisional Cup Opens week. They haven't made the final this season. And yes, it's only 2 cups, but I'm wanting to see a bit more from them. They're obviously a very capable team, and I still do think they should be making the Summit LAN finals, but I'm going to need to see something more. Is the spark that was once there gone? Maybe. I don't think so. These are 2 players with so much quality, and I do still think they can turn it around, but I will say that the last 2 weeks haven't filled me with that much hope. Here's a list of some of the other big names that missed out. You'll see at the top we have Fridoxy and Trippin, so Fridoxy won't be contesting iDrop and Marius over at Squibbly Shores. It's not clear who Fred will be playing with for FNCS. He was obviously with Sanguild last week, now he's playing with Trippin. It seems that he only wants to play with Danish teammates, which does limit him a little bit. If that is going to be the case, then I do think Sanguild is the best option, as he's a very versatile player and he'd allow Fred to play more expressively. Now let's get into the top 10 predictions for finals, and I have to say, of all the weeks we've had lately, this has been the toughest one. There are so many good teams with favourable drop spot situations that it was really hard to pick a list. And honestly, tomorrow evening when I put out my final predictions on Twitter, it could look completely different. It could still look the same. I have no idea how this is going to go. But here's my top 10 for now. In 10th place, I've gone for Sky and Scroll, and obviously we know that this is a team with so much quality, debatably the best team in EU right now. They are in a little bit of an interesting situation off spawn. There's a couple of teams on them. It looks like Pix and MrSavage might be landing there too. I don't know if they're going to move. We'll have to see how that one plays out, but Sky and Scroll looking a little bit vulnerable there. And listen, we've seen in previous weeks that they can still perform when they have teams landing on them, but it does stop them from accessing those top 3 and top 5 spots. I still think they're going to be able to get into the top 10 because they are so good and they will have good games, but I do think they are going to be limited from making those top positions. In 9th place, I've gone for Shearer and Repairs, and it feels like I do put these guys in my predictions every week, but honestly, I see something with this team. They're coached by Thomas, which is a big help for them. Obviously, Thomas coaches a lot of great players like Vico and Malabuka. I also really like their drop situation. They land right at the south of the map, and there's always a lot of chaos surrounding them. They can capitalize on what's going on at Battlewood Boulevard. They can capitalize on all the teams at the desert splits. Listen, I do think it could be slightly better for them. Of course, if you take a look at that southwest of the map, all those teams are Uncon. All those teams are looking quite good, actually. So Shearer and Repairs might not be able to benefit too much from spawn fight chaos, the likes of that. But listen, this is a team that managed back-to-back 5th places in the Divisional Cup last season. They clearly know what they're doing, and I am backing them to return to that top 10. In 8th place, I've gone for last week's winners, Darm and Demush. Now, it's a tough one with these guys because it does look like they will be contested again by Twek and Mydro over at Tip Top Terrace. Now, last week they were able to win 4-0. They made light work of that spawn fight. I will say that I think there's a chance that Twek and Mydro don't contest Darm and Demush and instead land at Toy Box Docks to the north. That's a possibility, and that would definitely benefit Darm and Demush, although I wouldn't be surprised if the teams fight irrespective. Darm and Demush also came first on the second day of opens, proving that they are still a team that are in form. In 7th place, I've gone for Chap and Flixie. Now, they weren't bad last week, but I was a little bit disappointed with their performance. They finished 9th, but they had so many zones go near to them at that mountain, and I felt like they should have been making more of it. We know from the past few months that Chap and Flixie are a team with a lot of quality, but they are quite up and down. Let's see if they can have a big finish before FNCS. In 6th place, I've gone for the best French duo in the world, Akira and Karama. And listen, these guys have been looking great lately. They of course came 4th last week. They've got the south side of Frigid uncontested, and that should be a recipe for success. I'm very much expecting them to have a good performance. In 5th place, I've gone for Swizzy and Pixie, and this is definitely one of those duos that, whilst they have a lot of potential, they haven't necessarily been able to show it. They came 21st last week from Uncon Dark Dominion, which is, it just isn't good enough really for a team that on paper could be the best team in EU. I mean, this is Swizzy and Pixie we're talking about here. These players are so good. They have to be finishing inside that top 5 as a bare minimum with an Uncon POI, and the fact that I've only got them in 5th, if anything, says a lot. I think they should be finishing higher than that. In 4th place, I've got Vico and Malabuka. They're landing over at the north side of Frigid Fortress. They made the top 10 last week, but weren't able to challenge for that top 5. I do think they're going to show a little bit more this week because we all know their quality. In 3rd place, I've gone for Focus and Thomas HD. Another team that, yes, they did struggle last week, only managing a 19th from Uncon Riptides, which you would be expecting a lot more, but that was, of course, with unfavourable zones. Let's see if they're a little bit more balanced this week, and I do believe that Focus and Thomas HD will be able to perform. In 2nd place, I've gone for Cami and Hari. Now, this might seem like a bit of a strange one, considering that they've not been making a huge amount of finals lately, but just take a look at that POI. They're landing at the Lighthouse split, which means they have a lot of fish, there's a lot of launch pads. Honestly, that whole area is really nice, and I watched a couple of Cami and Hari's VODs. They are looking good out of that area. I do believe that they are going to have a great tournament. Not as great a tournament as the team that I think will win though, and that is Chino and Pablo Wingu. Now, they haven't been able to win a Divisional Cup yet together, but they have always been in the running. They've always been looking really good. Countless 3rds, countless 4ths, and I do think this is going to be the week they finally take 1st place. They now have Sandy Strip uncontested all to themselves, and last week I was kind of doubtful that they'd keep that. I did think that a team would maybe land on them, but no, their off-spawn aura was enough. They said they would fight any other teams that would land there, and clearly that has proved to be enough of a deterrent. Should they keep it uncontested for 6 out of 6 games, I do think Chino and Pablo, with their firepower, with their fighting ability, are the favourites to win. Now, there's a ton of honourable mentions here that I couldn't quite fit in. The biggest, of course, being Shark and Teeny. I did want to put them inside the top 10, but they have 2 teams landing on them over at Wonky Land. Yes, I could see a situation where Hutty and Fishy X and Ziandi and Kiko contest the south side, and Shark and Teeny can go relatively undetected, relatively unbothered at the north side near the castle, but that's all speculation. We'll have to see how it goes. Shark and Teeny are certainly capable of getting inside the top 10 whilst in this situation, and I wouldn't be shocked if I changed my predictions come Thursday, but for now they are outside. We've also got MrSavage and Velo, a team that are certainly capable of challenging for that top 10 place. Indeed, all the teams landing around that area are looking great. You've got Khan and Faded Pigeon, Pixovsky and Seren 2, you've got Effexy and Della, the Swedish duo that I mentioned earlier. They've got a really favourable situation. They've got Uncon Sus Studios, and it's a relatively mid-map POI. From there, I think they should be doing well. The only thing that maybe could limit them is that there's a lot of teams above them, a lot of teams contesting each other. Could that spill over down into Sus Studios? I do think that's a possibility, but I'm feeling good about these guys. I like Kiro and Uppel from Uncon 4 Fields, Acer and Podesite over at Pumping Station. You've got iDrop and Marius. Yes, they have Scribbly Shores uncontested, but they haven't been in great form lately, so I'm not confident on putting them in the top 10, but they are certainly capable of placing there. And of course, Nebs and Nathan, a team that actually looked really good last week, and with Uncon Humble Hills, they're certainly a good pick to do well. Now, over on NA Central, we only had 3 EU duos qualify. They were Syaz and Focus, Nebs and Roban, and Scroll and Zany. So clearly all the European teams focused on their own region ahead of FNCS, but we'll have to see how these guys can do in the finals. Now, in terms of org news, we've had a bunch of signings, the biggest one of course being Karama signing for Gentle Mates. Now, this is a huge transfer. He was previously at Solari and he has been bought out of his contract, and honestly I really like this move. It's cool that Gentle Mates now have an official duo. They have both Akira and Karama signed. They did a really cool announcement video which is also playing in the background, so this is a good move for the scene. I'm very happy to see that orgs are still willing to invest money, and something that's a real positive. We had a bunch of other moves too. Solari have replaced Karama with Gonzo, who is an up and coming bright Norwegian player, someone who is looking really good at the moment, playing well with Kaisers. We also had Effexy signed for TRKF, and Peshka has signed for Odious. And in terms of people looking for duos, we do now know that Pradaj and Ankido have split, and this is unfortunate for Pradaj, a real shame for him because he's looked really good during the last few months, doing well in some of the Victory Cups, some of the Eval Cups, and it feels harsh that he's now scrambling to find a duo just days away from FNCS. An unfortunate outcome, but we'll have to see who he picks up. Maybe he does just go back and play with Ankido if that's the easiest option. CZB is looking for a duo, as is Alva Halo, and Phantom and Sobi also looking for options. Subscribe to stay up to date with European Fortnite. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.